all day. You guys have been lined up for a while. Please welcome to the stage, Luke Holland. Let's keep it going for him. Come on, everybody. Happy birthday. Here it is on the PA right now. And we're live. Yeah, everything's up and running.
Drum workshop happening in the Pro Audio department.
This is a classic GC moment. Pro Audio Line 1. Pro Audio Line 1. What's up, everybody? Thank you all for coming out. Everybody who's here in the room, everybody who's live on the stream. Hello and welcome to Guitar Center Hollywood. We're here with Luke Holland today. We're going to have an awesome drum workshop. We're going to hear some tracks. We're going to see some grooves and fills get broken down, and we're going to learn. We're all going to learn. So everybody in here has sticks and a pad. If you're at home watching, get your sticks and your pad and watch along and play along. If you have any questions, throw them in the comments. We're going to be taking questions from the crowd here. And now that all of that business is out of the way, Luke, how the heck are you?
Doing great. I got to talk through this thing, right?
Yeah.
How's everybody doing? And to everybody watching at home, I really appreciate it. And to all of you guys, I want to take a quick second and say thank you very much for coming. This is so cool. I remember going to Guitar Center when I was 10, 11, being like, I feel like I want to play drums for a living. Like, that might be pretty cool. So now that I'm here, it's really cool, full circle moment. So I appreciate you guys for real. Thank you.
Nice. So, Luke, we're all very excited, and we definitely want to get into seeing you play, but we want to set the table here for what's the gear situation first, because, we're all gearheads at heart. So what are you playing on today?
Yeah, so if you guys have seen any of my videos, like stressing with this thing. So this is my first DW Collector's kit that I ever had. So I think it's 10 years old this year, which is crazy. And if you guys have watched any of those old videos, that means that you're now old too. We're all old. This is the Twisted Rainbow Wood kit with the 24 karat gold hardware. Got the edge snare. It was built as a 5-piece, but as I tour more and more, I just take things off. I'm like, less drums, less stuff I got to pack up, So I got just like a 10-inch dual Byzance trash splash over here. I'm using the 14-inch pure alloy hi-hats today. This is like a little stack that I created for part of the Polyphia album that I recorded and me and Ichika's stuff. This is a 20-inch Byzance dual trash crash. This is my baby stack, my signature baby stack. That's the Chris Coleman signature ride, 19-inch medium Byzance crash, 18-inch dual trash china, and the first signature model that I created called the Bullet Stack back in I think 2016 or something. But yeah, and then I'm using, I know you guys got the Luke Holland signature sticks, so cool. Meinl Stick and Brush, shout out to them. And then I get asked about what pedals do you use all the time. I use the DW 9000 XF series, so extended foot, it's a little bit longer, just feels better for me. So yeah, it's a wrap on that. And
Nice.
Remo heads.
So I have a quick question, and it's about stacks. What is your philosophy on putting them together?
Yeah, so I love stacks. I write very melodically. Everybody writes different. For me, I hear melody, I hear stuff like that, and I try to write with that approach. So, like, if you listen, the contrast of this stack to this stack to this stack, they go up. So it's da da da, and I love that I'm able to use that, with a vocal melody that's going up or whatever. You can also do buzz rolls on them and do like some trappy kind of stuff. So I love stacks. I got 3 of them, kind of insane.
So I promise we're going to get to the playing. One thing is you're going to be playing along to tracks today. And so what are you using for your in-ear monitors?
Yeah, so I got my 64 audio. I've been with them, I think The Word Alive, when I was in this band, a metalcore band called The Word Alive, I think we were the first band that they signed, so it was like a long, long time ago. But now it's so sick. They're doing Beyonce, Jay-Z, all that stuff. So shout out to them.
Very cool. And so you've developed, speaking to that from Word Alive onward, you've developed this pretty admirably diverse career. Yes, you're very well known for playing drums and being on YouTube, but you are getting hired out for tours, you're doing sessions, you're working and collaborating and producing your own music. So can you take us back to before you got into all of that, before there was a YouTube and you were just a kid who wanted to play drums? Where did it start for you, and how did you develop your skill set?
Yeah, so move this. There we go. So it's kind of a long-winded answer, of course. I'll try to keep it as short as possible, but my biological father, he played drums, was never able to like teach me, but he gave me kind of that natural gift and really wanted it. I could just feel it. Some people, they can feel it. Sounds corny, but it is what it is. On top of that, when I was 10, my next door neighbor, his name is Frank, he was like 14 or something at the time. He would open his garage door up and play what I call the Guitar Center beat, ironically. You guys know exactly what beat I'm talking about.
Yes.
Right? So he would play that all the time, and one day I just like, all right, I just walked over there and I was like, hey, can you teach me something? And I remember how loud the drums were. I remember everything about that. And he taught me chats, chat. And I picked it up really quickly, and he was just like, yo, listen, like, you picked that up pretty quick, and I don't know, maybe look into it. So then for like 2 weeks, I would show up. Every time he'd open his garage door, I'd just run over there. And then eventually he stopped opening his garage door. He was like, this guy is so annoying. Looking back on it, I don't blame him at all. I actually just saw him a few months ago. But yeah, it started there. And then when I was a freshman in high school, I joined drumline. I marched snare drum for 3 semesters. It wasn't really my thing. Like, I did not love drumline, but I learned like half the stuff I'm going to teach you guys today came from that. And I always say, if I didn't do drumline, I would not be where I am today, 100%. So, yeah.
Awesome.
And also just learning like all my favorite drummers' music, because they've been playing for like 20 years or something, and they put their heart and soul into a piece, and then you're just like, okay, cool, I'm going to learn that really quick, and then you just become a hybrid of all your favorites, and so it's a really quick way to get a lot of ideas, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah.
Nice, very cool. So we have a pretty cool array of tunes that you're going to be playing today. And, featured heavily is, your collaboration with Jason Richardson. So I'm wondering if you could just talk to us a little bit about what it is that sort of attracts you two to each other, and what it's like, in terms of like really taking an idea from zero to a finished product.
Yeah, great question. Jason and I met our old bands, The Word Alive and Chelsea Grin. We were on tour together doing a co-headliner. And it's kind of funny, like, I'm not throwing any shade at anybody at all. I'm not going to. But everybody would come up to me and tell me, be like, yo, dude, this guitar player, his name is Jason, he's like the guitar version of you. You need to go watch him play. I was like, oh, okay, fine. Like a week into tour, I went and I watched. I was like, what the hell is this guy doing in Chelsea Grin, dude? Like, this is crazy. His talent is, he's insane. So he tells me, everybody was telling him the same thing. So he came and watched me, and he said, he asked the same question. So we just started on that tour. We wrote a song called Fragments together, featuring our friend, the singer Veil of Maya. And then I broke my foot on tour and had to fly home. So after that, he quit Chelsea Grin, and he called me. I was on my way to Australia with The Word Alive, and asked if I would he sent me a song called Omni. I was like, hey, man, I quit the band. I'm actually doing a solo record. Do you want to do drums on it? And that's kind of where everything started. But, yeah, him and I, we have just, like, sort of a similar music taste, but also not. And I think that's very important because we take from different things, But, yeah, we have 2 full lengths out. And we're working on some new stuff with some vocalists that you guys for sure know, but I can't say. But it's going to be sick.
Well, that's a pretty rad tease. So we're going to get into Upside Down, which is a tune that you and Jason put together. and it also features Tim Henson, who's a very well-known guitarist as well. I'm out of just pure curiosity, like, are all guitarists the same, or what's it like working with different, like, very well-known guitar players?
I would have to say Tim and Jason are extremely different human beings, and I love both of them very much. Having Tim on that track was really easy because, Jason, we knew that, Tim, we've toured with Polyphia multiple times. I did like half of their last album on drums, which is a whole other experience we'll chat about, I'm sure. But it was one of those things where we wrote that section knowing that it had a little bit of the trap influence and having his sound. And then he just sent us what is in the song, and it was just perfect. Like, mixed it in. We were like, yep, that's a wrap. It was easy. And I know Jason's collaborated with Polyphia as well, like a song called Aviator, I want to say, and like different stuff where he does crazy solos. So it's just a really good synergy between the three of us.
Nice. All right, so what should we be listening out for in the tune Upside Down in terms of the drum parts or the grooves that you want to highlight?
Yeah, I feel like, so in that trap section, there's a lot of, with trap, you want the hi-hats to sound very, very, almost like a, computer. Like it's just just high velocity, no variation in the dynamic at all. So there's a lot of that in that trap section. It ends with like an EDM thing. We just like just writing a bunch of different stuff and then cramming it into one song. It's fun. It's challenging. So this one is more straightforward, I would say. But yeah, we can get into it.
Let's do it.
Cool. Thank you guys. Round of applause for you guys, man, for real. Let's go.
Yeah. Very sick. All right, so Luke, the thing that I noticed a lot throughout the song is this feel change. This sort of like straightforward rock thing, almost this like disco-y thing. Can you just talk a little bit about the different like, it's like different feelings of propulsion throughout the track? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I think. Sorry, I'm out of breath. This is gonna happen.
Give it up
after
for Luke. He's up here working hard for you guys.
Thank you. This is gonna be a thing after every single time I play. I'm gonna need a minute. This is why drummers we don't sing. You know, we're in the back just like trying to catch our breath. But yeah, I think kind of like I was saying earlier with me and Jason, we have some of the more straightforward straightforward in its own right. That's more just like metal. We knew that Tim was going to be on this song. We wanted it to make it like people that don't necessarily dive super deep into all the different genres of metal, because there's literally a million, as we all know. More like digestible. So that end part, dunce, you know, it's nothing crazy. We could all play that. But it's about serving the song in the moment, you know.
And so is there any particular technique that you want to teach everybody here that comes straight out of that tune?
This is like not crazy at all, but I love, like, I'm such a fine attention to detail person when it comes to this stuff. So there's a very, very simple part. It's just and it's like a little buzz roll. You know, I'm putting my hand on the snare drum and adjusting the tightness of it to extend the buzz roll, if that makes sense. It's kind of a weird thing. It's super, super subtle, but yeah, it's literally just this. So it's like that. I know it's not crazy, but it's just those little attention to detail things. I would say the other thing, there's the kind of Latin part. I'll play it real quick. That part, that's just like, you kind of, you know, get the kick pattern down. That, and then you just go from there. But the fill at the end of that section is one of the hardest things I've ever like played live. It's this. I'll show you. So slower. So the ride is keeping a quarter note pulse while you're doing 16 note triplets split up in groups of 2 on the rim and the kick. So I'll show you. One of those things that's a lot harder than it looks, but those are the things that stand out to me in that song.
Yeah, that's really cool. There's also this other part where you sort of come off the hi-hat and you do this swell snare roll. Which, I don't know, from over here I was like pretty amazed by the dynamics that you were getting out of just going from a very, you know, a subtle, quiet roll to really swelling it up.
Yeah, I think that's during the trap part, so it's doing like that.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. So yeah, just trying to really nail those dynamics so it just sounds computer, you know, it sounds robotic. That's what we're aiming for at that part. Hard again, kind of harder than it looks, but yeah. Thank you guys.
Well, in your brain, especially like with the cross stick fill that you were doing before, you know, there's there's the beat. I'm curious as to like how you visualize. Do you visualize every beat and then you're just like leaving some out at some times? You know what I mean?
Do you mean when I'm performing or writing?
I guess either way, you know, maybe when you're performing, you've left all that thinking behind.
I always say the second you start thinking when you're playing is the second you mess up. And how many people perform live with a band in here? Raise your hand. Okay, see, it's a lot of people. That's awesome. You guys know exactly what I'm talking about, right? Yep, everybody's going, yep. The second you start thinking about your performance is when it's just like, I don't know, you get in your own head, you get nervous, whatever. Like, you know what's funny is I've played shows for 40, 50,000 people consistently, and you get way less nervous than something like this. Because y'all can see every little, like, bead of sweat on my face. And, like, you know what I'm saying? It's way more intimate, and it's such a different thing. Tangent land. Oh, I'm the king of tangent land, by the way. I'm going to go off on hella tangents, so cool.
All right, so now in the writing, though, is there a metronome that's in the back of your mind that's keeping track of everything?
Yeah, totally. And first and foremost is always serve the song. And if you guys have seen any of my super, super old videos when I'm like 16, I'm 30 now, so it was a long-ass time ago. I am just playing the most insane stuff that makes no sense over like a hip-hop song or a pop song. I cringe so hard when I watch it. But, you know, like that's what happens when you're that age. You just have all this, like, inspiration and, like, fire you want to get out. And then part of getting older is you mature as a person and also in your playing. And you realize the song doesn't need all that. So you have your moments, you know. So, yeah, I'm definitely always locked into a metronome of sorts. And it's funny because I'm talking to you, but, you know, I can't do that. So it just, sorry, dude.
It's all good. So that was something that you sort of felt innately inside of your body even before you played drums?
Yeah, so, I mean, this is so cliche drummer parent thing, but like my mom said when she was holding me as a baby, I'd always be like tapping on her shoulder and stuff. Like I kind of do think it is in the blood a little bit, you know, with my dad and stuff like that. Yeah, but also drumming for me, like, it's my way to fully connect with music. Music is my favorite thing of all time. If you go and listen to or if you look at like my playlist, it's all over the place. Like I listen to the most insanely, Sean knows. I've listened to the most insanely, vastly, just different, eclectic taste of music ever. So it's always been my way to connect to drums and or connect to music. So and with that comes kind of the melodic way of writing that I was talking about. Is I try to match that as well as I can. So yeah.
All right, what do you guys think? You want to hear another tune? All right, so we're gonna yeah.
I actually don't have any more songs for you guys. I'm sorry. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway,
yeah.
let's shut it down.
So this next one, it's called Sparrow. So this one is when Jason first sent me the bare bones of this. There's a breakdown in this that hit like the first time I heard it. I started laughing because it's just so heavy. This one is a lot of just really nailing the syncopation and just honing in on that as much as possible because there's a lot of space at moments. And then there's a lot of tempo changes too, so you got to like naturally know, hey, this is speeding up 8 BPM. This is slowing down 15. Like you just got to listen to the song that many times and get used to it. Yeah.
Let's do it.
And that is why you test your tracks beforehand. That's my fault. Yeah, so that just now, just being totally candid with you guys, why not? The click was on for the first half, and then the second half, the song was way ahead of the click. So that was hard. That was really hard to do.
Nice.
Wow. But I love that song. It's nothing crazy. I mean, it's crazy, but it's not the most technical thing. But that super heavy part just, it's so fun to play.
It is very, it's like, unnaturally intense to cut to that part. But it is slower than the rest of the track, actually, technically.
So, is this on? Yep. Are you talking about the click track thing that just happened?
No, I mean the breakdown being so heavy. Is it so heavy because it's a little bit slower?
It's actually the same BPM. It's just the rhythm that he did. Jason wrote it just like in his words to be ignorantly heavy is what he said, because he just wanted it to be super simple. I mean, the pattern is just dun 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 dun. Like, it's nothing crazy, but everything that's going on in the production yeah, it's just super heavy.
Yeah. Well, being at GC, we've definitely heard that heavy pattern before. I wanna maybe just take a detour into the lesson that we just learned in terms of like handling when things don't go exactly as planned in the live environment. I'm sure, in thousands of shows that you've played, stuff like that happens. But like, what advice do you have for people to sort of like power through and figure out a way to sort of like still look cool rocking on stage, even though things might be falling apart?
I think the worst thing you can do ever is stop playing, right? So I'll be honest, this is my show right now, right? There's no band on stage. I could have easily stopped that, and it would have been fine. Every other situation, yeah, you just gotta, that's when like your natural instinct and musicianship kicks in, because there's no alternative, You stop and be like, all right, guys, like, there's half the song, enjoy. People are like, huh? So, yeah, I mean, when that happens live, you just fight for your life. You pray to whatever gods you believe in, Yeah, that was crazy. I can't believe that just happened. But hopefully the rest of the songs are fine. I think we'll be good.
Nice. One thing I was noticing while you're playing through Sparrow is just the consistency of your tone. And I think that comes from the consistency of your technique. So I'm wondering if you can talk to us a little bit about how like you're getting this very clear snare strike over and over and over again. You're getting a very intelligible rolls through the toms. Like we can all very clearly hear what's going on because of your technique. So can you talk about that a little bit?
That's awesome. Thank you. That's like one of my one of the highest compliments I feel like you receive as a drummer, so thank you very much. I practice a lot. If we can go over some of this now if you want, but I practice technique and dynamics like religiously, especially when I was in drumline. It is all about absolute consistency, knowing exactly which volume at exactly which time you want for every note. Every note's intentional, So if I'm doing, everybody knows what ghost notes are, right? Just like small, I learned them as 3-inch strokes. So I'll kind of demonstrate for you as I'll do it on the hi-hat so you can see a little bit better. But you have 3-inch strokes that come up to here. You have 6 inches that comes up a little bit more, 9, and then 12, which is like this 90-degree angle. And that's going to be your accent, right? So this is your powerful hit. This is your ghost note. Those are the really important ones. So I practiced this like thousands of hours, on one drum. And also, if you look on somebody's like snare drum or something, you can see what's called a playing zone. You can see where their like super hard accents are, and you can be a kind of a jerk and judge somebody's technique on that alone by looking at it. But it really is just about like practicing your consistency so much. So this is like for all of you guys that have a pad right now, I can show you. Has anybody in here taken a lesson with me before? Oh yeah, let's go. I've definitely taught you this for sure then. So yeah, there's a couple different warm-ups for time's sake. I'll show you guys 2 really quickly. Very, very simple, but this is all about troubleshooting your technique, and this is all about absolute consistency. Like you are not messing around. If one stick comes a little bit too high, you gotta like focus on that and be like, okay, next time that's not happening. So be very, very intentional with this. We have 12-inch stroke. Pinkies aren't coming off the stick. None of this. Right? Nope. 3-inch stroke. Now left hand. Right hand. Left hand. Right, not rocket science, but a lot harder than it looks when you start going a little bit faster. And you can really notice when I play it on the snare, the difference in sound just immediately. So watch. And I know that you guys probably can't see this super well, but that 3-inch stroke is coming so low that I'll never forget my drumline instructor said this to me. This was about 16 years ago. Wow. He said that, okay, if you're playing anything with a 3-inch stroke, aka ghost note, if I'm in the stands 100 yards away, I should be leaning in to see or like even hear what he's playing. Like I don't even know what is that, right? So I always remembered that like that's how low it needs to come. So has anybody in here seen that Skrillex Cinema remix that I did? Yeah? Okay, so there's this groove that it starts off with. I'm going to play it with dynamics, like properly with dynamics, and I'm going to play it without. And now listen to how insanely... you'll see. Watch. Forgot I got to talk into this. That's because the left hand is doing those 3-inch strokes, and the 12 is in your face, right? It's not da 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 ga da 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 ga. No, it's in your face, and the ghost notes are super super low. So I'm gonna play it. If I didn't practice dynamics, listen to how bad this sounds. There's absolutely no groove whatsoever. So that is the importance of dynamics. It is so crucial. I could do the whole 90 minutes on dynamics if I had enough time. Yeah.
So that's if every hit is important, then none of the hits are important.
Exactly.
Nice. So speaking to your technique and getting so many of your sort of like background chops from like a drumline background, how disciplined is it being in the drumline? You know what I mean? I am a guitar guy, so I don't know for sure what discipline is at all. But in the drumline, it seems like it must be so regimented, literally, because there's so many people that have to be in sync with each other. So there's must not be any tolerance for looseness, maybe.
Yeah, and if one person is even slightly off, it sounds terrible. Like if anybody in here has done drumline, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Everyone has to be completely in sync, or it sounds just horrendous. It's crazy, but it makes you have to practice like I think it was 4 snares. I was one of them. We practiced off-site, like at the center snare drum's house all the time. Like we do like 4 or 5 hour days outside of school, and because of that, we crushed everyone. And like competition-wise that year, it was awesome. It was a very good feeling, and yeah, just all again for consistency and like all this stuff that I'm talking about. It really is. There's no like cheat code. It's like how much time do you want to put into it, And are you actually troubleshooting? Are you actually observing your weaknesses and correcting them? Because a lot of people, like, yeah, I did 15 minutes today. You're like, okay, did you improve? Did you even look? Like when I'm practicing the stick height stuff, I'm literally looking how far the tip of my stick comes. Here, like right now, you're like right at my 12-inch stroke zone right here, right? So if I'm practicing 12-inch strokes, I'm like looking at you and making sure that point of the stick comes up to that same point every time. And then when that becomes muscle memory, all of your rudiments, all of your grooves, your fills, everything, it really is about getting to that 12-inch stroke, power, and then super, super low for 3-inch stroke. And it's that contrast, it's that gap between power and disappearing that makes your playing go from like, you know, good to really, really good, super pro. Yeah.
And can you talk a little bit about the mind meld that happens when you're practicing for hours at a time with 4 snares or in a band? The sort of mind reading that begins to happen through listening through your bandmates so frequently?
Yeah, I think the band that I'm playing with currently is called Falling in Reverse, and we don't really, like, we have like 1 or 2 rehearsals. We're also locked in like on our own with the songs because it's not Jason Richardson like crazy chaos, and everybody in the band is very, very good at what they do. So we don't necessarily even have those like mind meld moments, if I'm being honest. But like, you know, Jason and I, there was a point, I think, when we were on tour with Polyphia, like 2017. Yeah, basically it was, I messed up one night like a couple times. It's because I was doing some dumb stuff. And I remember he gave me this look, like he turned around and just looked at me and just gave me this death stare. And I was like, okay, I'm not doing that again, you know, like, and yeah, we have like moments like that where it is very, like the synergy has to be there, especially when it's just 2 of us on stage, you know. The more people you have stage, technically, the more room you have for error, but no error. We want no error at all, yeah.
And so you sort of owe it to your bandmates to bring it in that way?
100%, yeah. Like, if anybody is slacking, like, first of all, I think they know usually, yeah. And to be honest, I really haven't experienced that too much, but I've been fortunate enough to play with some awesome players over the years. But yeah, you gotta tell them, be like, dude, you sounded terrible tonight. Cool.
All right. So speaking to that, we're going to switch gears here a little bit, and we're going to get into a couple of tracks that you created with Ichika. So can you talk a little bit about how that collaboration is sort of different from what we've heard so far today, and what your approach is to playing drums there? Yeah,
so if there's like a further opposite project that I've done from Jason, it's this one. It's Ichika. He's a Japanese guitar player. He's incredible. If you guys, I mean, we're in a guitar center, so hopefully you've seen him play online. He's amazing. We did a short EP together. This is like, you know, the Jason stuff is powerful, in your face, a lot of notes, very busy. This can have a lot of notes, but I'm talking dynamically. It goes from here to here, right? So some stuff in these songs I'm going to play for you guys, they're really short songs, short and sweet. You know, I'm doing ghost notes with my fingers on the snare. I'm doing really, really light hits on some of these stacks and like hitting the toms and then making sure I muffle them with my hands really quickly. Like, again, it's that really, really fine attention to detail. And every single one of these notes for these 2 songs is like meticulously placed. Like every single note, you know, I play at the exact same time every time. So really love this project and love Ichika as well.
Nice. And before we get into the track, I want to just get your take on why is it important to sort of diversify your influences, your collaborators, the different projects that you're in. What does that do to help make sort of a well-rounded player?
It is such an important, it's crucial, man. You have to be able to, especially nowadays, like there's so many players, a lot of good players too, because everybody's got the internet now. We can learn a lot faster as people, which is awesome. It's a great tool. If you want to do this professionally, I would suggest you get either like extremely good at one particular genre, or be very, very well versed in a lot. Like that's my advice. I tell all of my students, you got to listen to as many different things as possible. I remember back when I was starting the YouTube channel thing, I think it was 2009, which is insane to think about. I was playing to, Skrillex, Justin Bieber, August Burns Red, Texas in July, like all over the place. The Reign of Kindo, just tons of stuff. And with that, it goes back to what I was saying earlier. You're taking from different guys, you're taking their techniques, you're learning them yourself. All you're going to do is get better. So if you want to be a death metal drummer exclusively only, that's all you want to do, more power to you. But if you want to be doing this, as a career for the rest of your life, I recommend you get really good at as many things as possible. But yeah, so yeah, this is very, the Ichika stuff is very delicate. A lot of it is in this area. So sorry, you guys probably can't see much over there, but yeah. Did that answer your question fully?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
So let's get into it. Let's do The World is Still Beautiful.
Sweet. Thanks, everyone. Make some noise for you guys. I appreciate y'all for real. Hell yeah. Where's the live camera where's it at? No? Over there maybe? I don't know. You guys watching at home, I appreciate you for real.
Yeah, I have an unfair advantage to everyone because I have this line of sight right to your hand on the snare. It's a pretty wild technique that you're doing in there. Can you just give us a little detail on that?
So, yeah, that one, man, I could literally, I love that song so much I could listen to it over and over. Ichika killed it on that song. But yeah, so basically, I'm going from, anybody play on their desk and drive their teachers absolutely insane with their fingers? Pretty much, yeah, a lot of people in here. That is basically where that came from. So like, I've had some drummers ask me that in person and be like, I can't get like as much power from the ghost notes as I want. So it really is just like that twitch muscle that's in your wrist that does this, you know? And I'm not necessarily doing just my two fingers. Sometimes I'm doing my whole hand. So if I play this groove slower, it's like this. forgot I got to talk into this. So you can get weird with it and do like paradiddle diddles. If you guys know that's right, left, right, right, left, left. But do that with your fingers on the snare, and it sounds like this. Thanks. It's a weird thing. Thank you. It's very subtle, but again, this is the stuff that gets me excited about drumming. I love exploring just everything that I possibly can. Trying to think. Yeah, there's the buzz roll in that song. There's the and I mute the toms immediately because the track comes in. There's just that one is all about attention to detail, and yeah. I believe we have one more Ichika song.
We do, yeah.
Thank God, I love it. I could play it all day.
Well, it's like a really cool mood or like a vibe to ride for 2 minutes. You know, these feel in a good way. They feel a lot longer than 2 minutes long. There was sort of like a reggae feel thing that you went into in the middle there too. Oh yeah. I'm curious as to how many sort of like reggaeton, any sort of like dance hall kind of things that you might get into as an influence?
I'm not gonna lie, I don't listen to too much reggae. However, like a lot of those beats. I mean, there's tons of stuff that I've learned and implemented into songs that I've heard in like different genres that I didn't even know came from that genre, if that makes sense. And that's the beauty of just learning as much as you possibly can from other people, is you just don't know when that's going to come in handy. And then like it bleeds into your own playing. But this particular little beat, Ichika had in there as an electronic, like what's it called? Oh man, it's like the genre that people like are on their laptop listening to this like really, really chill beat while they do like college work. You know what I'm saying? Lo-fi. Everybody do it. Yes. I described it perfectly.
Yeah.
Right? All right, gold star for me. So yeah, this is like kind of like a lo-fi beat. It's actually kind of challenging to go from like kind of a almost drill style beat straight into like you have to like dial that feel in immediately and then bounce right out of it. And that's just with practice, but I'll kind of demonstrate that again. Thank you. It's a lot of different feels coming at you really quickly, and yeah, it makes it so fun to play.
Yeah, it's kind of nice. You take like a quick little vacation to the beach, and then you come back. It's real nice. So let's continue the grooves in the Ichika vibes with Awakening. So what should we know about Awakening?
You should know that this song is really hard to play. It's a really hard one. So I think the main thing that I need to say is this, Ichika did not record this to a metronome, meaning that this is all real feel. So when I'm learning this, I'm not playing to a click. I'm not doing none of that. This is all like, I had to literally study how he's speeding up, slowing down, and match it. So this took a lot of work. Let's see if I can pull it off, but there's really weird techniques, like the very, very beginning groove. I'll just play for you slow. And then there's a fill towards the beginning that goes from the baby stack to these rims, and the side stick. It's really fast, and it's so hard. It's one of the harder things of this set, but I'll play it slow for you guys. It's hard. It's a lot harder than it looks. But yeah, let's try to think.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Trying to think. I mean, this one, it's all over the place. You'll see.
This what we've just seen is sort of this testament to your dedication to practice and consistency, because if you're playing your fingers, or if you're playing the head, or if you're playing the rim, like, it's all very consistently delivered and really well done. So it's just really amazing to be able to see it from like 2 feet away.
I appreciate that, man. For real. Thank you.
All right, so let's get into Awakening.
Yeah, let's see how this goes.
All right.
That is a tough one, for real. Jeez, thank you guys. I appreciate it.
It sounds great. It's very cool. I'm curious for you mentioned that it was like it was all feel. There was no click. How often are you playing that way these days? Is everything sort of clicked in most productions?
It's a great question. So in my mind, I would immediately separate this answer into 2 categories. I would separate it into recording, YouTube videos, that kind of thing. And I would say playing live. So those separate. Playing live, always playing to a metronome, like basically every single gig. I think maybe the only time I didn't was with Playboy Cardi when we did Jimmy Kimmel, and it was just like monitors, and you're like, good luck. that was another challenge in itself. But yeah, you're always doing to a metronome. Now, Sean is my audio engineer. Raise your hand, Sean. Look, everybody
Give it
turn
up for
around.
Sean.
There he is. There. Stand up, dude. Stand up. Round of applause. Yeah. Sean has been doing my audio at Perfect Sound Studios for 5 years, 5.5, 6. Oh my gosh! So the first video we did together was Tendonitis, I think. Yeah. So if you guys have seen that Tendonitis video, Jason Richardson and I, that's the first video that we did together. That's crazy. That's so long ago. But Sean knows when I record to anything that's not like already has a drum track to it, aka Jason, Star Set, like whatever the stuff that I've done over the years, I'm playing to a click on that. If it's Juice World, Uzi, if it's Post Malone, all the stuff that I've done, I'm not listening to a click at all. I just have the track in my ears. That's it. And the reason is because, so if you could transform this Guitar Center into my practice room, there's not a single person in here. It's just me and my drums. And I write these pieces, and I have it very meticulously thought out. And if I go into the studio and I add a click track into there, it just like, it messes up my vibe so much. So for the things that I call remixes, I just do audio only. And then for live stuff with, Falling or Jason or whoever it is, I'm always doing a click. So good question, though. Yeah.
Nice. All right, so we're going to open it up now. We've got some questions that came through already, and we'll be bringing in some more. But we're going to start with Leo. And Leo asked, what tips do you have on composition?
Ooh, tips on composition. What's up, Leo? Okay, so this is kind of a loaded question, or loaded response. Immediately, I go to like, okay, you got to establish your foundation as a player to have really mature or unique sounding compositions. If you are not super familiar with your rudiments or your dynamics, your compositions are going to be very limited because you don't have much to pull from, if that makes sense. So the more you learn your rudiments, you learn like 30 different ways to do each one, you hone in those dynamics, you're going to have a lot more to pull from, and like that's the most important thing. But also, me as an individual, every single one of us in this room, people watching, we're all unique, completely unique people. You could play one song and have each of us come up and we would all have a different approach to it. I think that's really, really cool. Me personally, I write, again, very melodically. So that's why I have more cymbals than drums, is because I feel toms, who doesn't love toms? They sound awesome, especially when you got like a big 7-piece, right? But like, I only got 2 of them. I don't got very many. The cymbals, for me, you can accent different melodies more thoroughly, and that's just my personal preference, So yeah, serving the song when it's a moment to make it your own, that's when you pull from your bag of tricks, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, just learn as much as you can, for real.
Yeah, and that's a question that Sean has, is what rudiments do you practice, or how do you warm up?
So do you guys know Thomas Lang, Chad Smith? Yep, yeah. Round of applause for them, man, for real. So when I was a wee lad of maybe 20, 19, I don't remember, Thomas hit me up to do this thing, flew out to Arizona where I used to live, picked me up, flew back here, and they filmed the whole thing, didn't tell me anything about it. We show up to a salon. Chad Smith was there. He's like, what are you guys doing here? And we got like pedicures with Chad Smith and had an interview, and it was like the funniest, most random thing ever. But in that moment, me, Chad, and Thomas are sitting there and talking. I'll never forget listening to them talking about warm-ups and stuff like that. And Chad asked Thomas, he's like, so what do you do to warm up? Because Thomas uses like tree trunks for drumsticks. They're massive. I mean, he's the giant like Austrian death machine dude. So like it makes sense. So Thomas was like, well, let me ask you something, Chad. Does the secretary warm up on her keyboard before she goes into work? And I was like, it's a very interesting take. And guess what? After that, I stopped warming up for like 5 years, and I felt great. Like I would go on stage, and I didn't feel like tension in my forearms. I didn't feel any of that. I just felt like, boom, like I'm ready to go. Now, this is different for everyone, right? Like everyone is different. A good friend of mine, Benny Greb, I'm like really, really flexible. I can pull my fingers back to my wrist almost. I remember I was doing that in front of him, and he like grabbed my arm. He's like, what are you doing? Don't stop. And I was like, no, dude, I'm just stretching, and it's just really everybody's different, So I think for warm-ups, if I'm gonna warm up these days, I'll just do like 8 on a hand. So and I'm doing like big 12-inch strokes. And if I want to practice dynamics, I'm just kind of riffing on like random rudiments and stuff. To answer his question about what rudiments do I like, that's a long answer as well. I mean, I think the ones that I come back to the most are any form of 6-stroke. So like a 6-stroke roll, a paradiddle diddle. I'll teach you guys one that you guys can do here too. There's something called hybrid rudiments that like I learned about in drumline. It's basically some dude made something up and it became a thing. Is basically what it means. So there's something called an egg beater, and it's a group of 5. So it's right, 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 left, left, and you repeat it. So dat 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 dat. So I'll show you, and then I'll show you the form of it that I use a lot. So that one, you're like, yeah, well, what's the practical approach there? What's the practical use? I like using that one in like linear grooves and stuff. Like I'll just riff something. You can move that around everywhere. A lot of the times on the ride as well. But the one that I actually use all the time is I flam the first note. So if you want to call it something, I guess you can call it a flammed egg beater. The rudiments have the weirdest names. So yeah, it's like this. You can add a kick in between to make it a 6-stroke. I could go on for forever, but I'll show you what this sounds like. Thank you.
So, Lo wants to know, how do you internalize new techniques so that when they come through and you're playing them, they feel natural? What is your process of sort of like absorbing the information and then putting it back out through your hands?
You might not like this answer, but it's repetition. It's 100% repetition. Like, I would say one of the more recent techniques, besides like this finger stuff that I've been messing around with and discovering, has been something that my friend, do you guys know Matt Garska from Animals as Leaders? Yep. Yeah. Amazing. One of my favorite players. He showed this to me in 2018, and I saw him recently, and he's like, man, you took that technique way farther than I did. I was like, hell yeah, that's awesome to hear from him. But this is so fun. If you look at any of my playing since then, I really did. This technique spoke to me for some reason, and it came from just absolute repetition, just over and over. I was kind of obsessed with it. There's a lot of different applications, but this is just something fun you guys can do. Here we go. Well, so it has to do with the left foot. So if I'm doing kick, left foot, right. Right, you get that quick, but you only have one stroke. Now you can do a double. and you can get really weird with it. So this one's all about having left foot placement in the middle of a groove, and you just never know what you come up with. You can get really weird with that one, but it's just the left foot doing a whole lot of work. So, yeah, just another random technique for you guys. Enjoy.
So the Garska thing, did you learn that through, like, you guys are both sitting down with kits playing together?
Yeah, so we used to jam when he was living out here. I just go to his spot, and it's cool. Like, Garska's, obviously in my opinion, one of the best players today, but he's one of the only drummers, and we mutually feel this way, where we would, like, he'd be like, yeah, come over for an hour and let's jam, and we'd be there for 4 hours, and it would be because he'd sit down, play something, and I would hear something, and I'd be like, yo, let me try, and I'd sit there, and then it would just go back and forth, and eventually it just evolve into this thing, and we both it's weird. It's like almost like out of body in a weird way. But he's such an incredible, big influence on my playing for sure.
And then outside of him, is that, I'm guessing this is a thing drummers do. They get together and jam. Like, how important is that in terms of, like, picking up on new techniques or, like, collaborating, stuff like that?
To be honest, I wish I had more of it growing up. I think, like, the gospel community, the church community, they have a lot of that. And that's why it's just, if you come from that, you just have all these people lifting each other up at the same time. And I'm definitely very envious of that environment for sure. There have been guys over the years that I've had come in and jam, and it's been, you just always learn something, and vice versa. It's really cool.
Nice. That's awesome. Yeah, so you kind of spoke to this, I think, with the repetition thing, but Rajarshi would like to know what tips you have for increasing the fluidity of your playing.
Fluidity, I guess, would really come down to, like, this immediate thought is practicing your dynamics. Because, again, if you know exactly the volume of what note that you're going to play, like, everything not only is intentional in your mind, but it sounds intentional. Like, that's like, fluidity, I feel like, is synonymous to you saying, like, that everything sounds just, like, crisp and clear, which is what you want as a drummer. It really is just, like, put it in the annoying work on the practice pads that you guys all have, and making sure you got the power and you got the 3-inch stroke. Like, that big contrast between those two is so important. But yeah, I would say rudiments and dynamics, man. That's what's gonna help.
Nice. Let's see. Mate, I'm guessing. This is my guess at the name. This is switching gears now to your feet and your legs. Okay. What are your A, gear preferences and why, and then B, how do you warm up, stay fit, or get fast with your feet?
So, the first thing that I always tell people, it's kind of weird. I guarantee all of us have done this, but I'm not kidding. The way I got good at double bass was air drumming. I swear to God. Like, I just played everything on the floor. Right? It's hard to do while I'm sitting like this, but everything, I would have an external speaker back in the day when we all had desktop computers, and I would play to whatever bands I'm listening to at the time, and I would make sure that my feet are syncing up perfectly with the drummer. I didn't really realize, because at the time, parents, so loud, drums are loud, they're like, yeah, please stop playing. I'm like, all right. So I just ended up doing a ton of air drumming practice. And what I didn't realize is that same exact technique. You sit down. I did an Animals as Leaders cover many years ago called The Woven Web with this crazy double bass part in it. If you watch that on YouTube, that's the first time I ever played it on an actual drum set. I learned it in a hotel room on the ground, and then Drum Channel, I was filming for them, and they asked me to do one more song, and I was like, I can try this one, and that's what's on YouTube. Like, that's the power of air drumming. Like, it's crazy. This sound, it's the same thing. You can learn a whole sound, you know. So yeah, that's honestly how I got good at double bass. I will say having really good pedals helps a lot too. I see like a lot of guys are doing heel toe these days with triggers, so you're essentially barely hitting the drum head but producing a full sound, which is a crazy technique in its own. Like, I don't think I'll ever learn that because I'll never be like a death metal guy, but it's a lot of power to those guys because they're doing, you know, literally and they're just barely hitting. It's such a different technique, and I had a lot of respect for it. But yeah, I used the DW 9000 XF pedals, and I just like the way the extended foot is more than the normal 9000. Yeah. And then in terms of staying fit, I just practice. I don't really I don't work out or go to the gym or anything. I should though. You'd probably feel a lot better. Yeah.
Well, rest is important, right? It's important.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I can only imagine Garska's in there lifting all day, and then he's also banging away on drums. Like, you know, he must have a pretty heavy stretching routine or something like that. Yeah. But anyway, let's zoom way out. Brian wants to know, who's the drummer who most influenced your playing? But I think we can even broaden it to just say, like, are there, let's say, your top 3 or 5 that, like, had a big impression on you?
Definitely. So I think there was the drummer that made me want to actually start playing drums when I was going over to my neighbor's house those couple of weeks. He showed me Joey Jordison doing his drum solo where he comes down. If you guys have seen that, it's like the pentagram, it's on fire, and he's going insane doing this solo. And I was like, there's no way a human is possible of making those sounds. Like, it was crazy to me. It absolutely blew my mind. So I think that was the moment that I was like, all right. I started mowing lawns around my neighborhood for like 9 months and doing little odd jobs for like my mom and my aunt. And I saved up $350 and I got my first drum set. And that was 20 years ago. Insane. But yeah, it was because of Joey. So Joey's definitely up there. I stopped listening. Yeah, rest in peace to Joey, man. I know he was an influence to probably a lot of us. But yeah, rest in peace to him. There was also, I look at it as time frames in my life. After that, I stopped listening to Slipknot as much. I found Matt Greiner, I found Adam Gray. They influenced me a lot when I was like 15, 16. I ended up filling in for Adam Gray while I was a junior in high school. That was the moment that I knew that playing drums as a career was actually possible. As before, it just felt like a faraway dream, you know, like, there's no way. But that phone call is what made me be like, all right, I'm going to go full speed ahead on this. And then after that, I found guys like, Matt Halpern, Matt Garska, that kind of vein. And I was also just listening to a lot of different stuff, like, so many different artists, and not like necessarily in that vein of like that genre. Creating, like doing these remixes and stuff is what gets you better as a player, because it's like a little quiz. Like you're practicing these rudiments and you're like, okay, why am I doing this? Okay, you move it around a little bit. Like, okay, I guess. And then you put on a song that does not have drums to it, and you start playing to it, and then you realize it's like, oh, that's why. Like, you start creating, and it just comes out naturally. So if you guys don't do that often, I would highly recommend you do that. And then, of course, there was a lot of, like, Aaron Spears, another one, rest in peace, man, so sad. He was a really big influence. I was watching him and Eric Moore and Royster and Pridgeon, those guys, when I was really young. And then you got like the newer guys like Styx, Devin, and Rico and all those guys. They're insane. So yeah, if you ever feel like you're like, I'm the best ever, like, you are in the wrong place, dude. You're in the wrong mentality, for real, because there's always somebody I don't like saying better, to be honest. I like saying, like, again, all of us sound completely different. And I think that's so sick. Like, it's such a cool thing. So that's why I like to draw from as many different people as possible. But yeah, I would say those people.
Nice. And also very good advice for developing your own sound.
Yep.
Is just synthesize everything out there and then sort of reinterpret it yourself. Yeah.
Yeah.
So gang, everybody who's here, don't worry, we will get to your questions. We're running up on time. And so we're going to do one more performance here. And thank you everybody for tuning in on the live stream. We literally could be here for 8 hours asking questions, and frankly, I would dominate asking the questions if it were up to me. But we're going to get into Tendonitis now. And so this is another tune with Jason. And what should we know about Tendonitis before we get into the track? And yeah, let's break it down before we do the playing.
Yeah, so this song, it's a crazy one. There's a lot of notes, there's a lot going on. I think if we're analyzing particular techniques here, there's some weird stuff where I'm doing 2 pedals with 1 foot, so you got the hi-hats going while you're doing that. We have this section in the middle that it's a very slow, it's like a very delicate groove. Then you got very, very fast doubles, double kick, 16th notes for like a lot of this song. This is the more in-your-face song of the set for sure. And then the very, very end, it just gets really crazy, and we just kind of wanted to have that moment in the song where people they got this far, they got to that point of the song. We just wanted to have them like be scratching their head, be like, "What just happened? Like, what did I just hear?" And yeah, I mean, this song is now like 7 years old, which is crazy. Trying to think if there's, I'd say that's it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So, Luke, thank you so much for being here. Everybody make some noise for Luke. This has been awesome. And thank you to everybody for tuning in on the stream. We're going to close out the stream with Luke's performance of Tendonitis, but everybody here, stick around. We're going to answer your questions and get you some autographs. And so thank you very much, Luke. Thank you, DW Drums, Remo, Meinl, and au revoir.
Yeah, to everybody watching at home, I love you guys. I finally have some time off a tour for it's been like 3 straight years. So I'm excited to make some new content for you guys and get all these new ideas out there for you. So thank you for sticking around. And yeah, we'll see how this goes. It's been a while since I've played this song. Let's rip.